what we did. কেন এত জেলাসি চারিদিকে? Yes, we have this limitation because we cannot accommodate the whole Bangladesh here, but we would love to do that, right? Yes. Today is a very special day for BRAC University in Bangladesh. I want to share a personal story, a very small one. I've been to Smithsonian Space and Air Museum. I was wondering whatsoever there, and my curious eyes hovering from here to there, and at some point I figured out there is something artifact from the space, of course from the Apollo program, perhaps Apollo 9 or maybe 11. I touched it, and suddenly goosebumps. Right now I'm having my goosebumps right here, and I started crying. I'm father of two. This level 2 looked at me. This tough guy is crying. Oh my God, what happened to him? Because I read so much about Apollo programs, this spacecraft, these space shuttles, and in person, I could touch it physically. I could not hold my tears. I believe so many, like me, in Bangladesh, have the same emotion, have the same feeling. We don't have it, but we love it so much. We are this generation from the Star Wars. May the Force be with you. We need to have a big round of applause for this day. All right. To start this program officially, I would like to welcome Professor Mahbub Majumdar, Dean of School of Data Sciences of BRAC University, to have a few words for the guests and for, of course, our students and students outside this campus.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see all of you. I want to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for being here. How many of you know him? How many of you have seen him in action? He's a great asset for our university. We also would like to thank our chairperson of the Computer Science Department, Sania Hamid Qazi. She's the one who kind of runs everything at the ground level. It's such a pleasure to have all these capable people with us. So I want to ask you, how many of you are interested in science? How many of you are interested in space? Raise your hand. So what we see here is that when we were children, we look up at the sky, we look up at the stars, and that's what kind of stars are interested in: engineering, in science, in computer science, and even biology. I'll tell you a little story about myself. I was crazy about space. I was crazy about wanting to be an astronaut. I wanted to do all these different things. And then when my father was a university professor, he got a sabbatical offer to go to NASA for a year or two. So we moved to Washington, D.C. So he used to work for NASA right when the space shuttle was being commissioned. He used to bring home these photographs of all the different planets, which Voyager used to take these pictures and everything. I used to collect them. I used to have a huge stack. So space, being an astronaut, is kind of a source of inspiration for our whole generation. And it's such a pleasure, it's such an honor to have with us the chief astronaut of NASA, Joseph Acaba. We have many people who visit Bangladesh, who visit BRAC University. This is one of the most special occasions for us. So thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to see all of you. I hope in the future we will be able to create an Aero Astro department. We hope this will happen very soon. And we ourselves will be able to send satellites, astronauts to space, not only to space, to other planets, Mars, the lunar lander, etc. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you, all of you, and it's a pleasure to be able to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Professor Mahbub Majumdar, for hosting this event today. Now, we'd like to welcome someone who basically brought this thing a reality today. When we received the first proposal from the US Embassy in Dhaka, we were so excited to have it and make it a reality. It's my pleasure to welcome Scott Hartman, Director of Public Engagement, Public Diplomacy Program, US Embassy Dhaka. On the stage, please. Thank you so very much from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you. And we are excited, aren't we? So, I'm going to be very brief because you know, when you're ever at a show or a concert, you don't want to be the person in front of the audience. But I do want to share something with all of you. But before that, I just want to give thanks once again to Vice Chancellor Anwar, to Dean Majumdar, and Professor Sadia for helping organize this. And most of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out today and being part of this. We're so delighted that you accepted our offer to come here, come to Bangladesh, and be part of today's program and spend a couple of days. We know your mission is a very important one here, and we really do hope that Bangladesh will be one more of those countries to join the Artemis Accords. I have something for all of you. So, how many of you have heard of the Fulbright program? Okay, very good. So, we will be opening applications for the Fulbright program soon. And we hope a lot of you take that opportunity to kickstart your dreams in STEM, but space is a field for everyone. So when you are thinking about space and thinking about the future, think about what you want to be and where that fits in for you all, okay? So we'll be opening applications soon. If you want some more information, you can either talk to myself or to my colleague Raihana, right here, who helps manage the program. And we really hope that a lot of students from BRAC will be applying to kickstart those dreams in the United States. So without further ado, I am going to pass it back so that we can do the grand introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for making this day very special. I think we have said enough, right? And you don't want to listen to us anymore. Me neither. I'll be very honest, me neither. Let me welcome the Chief Astronaut of NASA, এত ছোট তালি
All right, there we go. Wow, this is amazing. I cannot believe that I am here. I want to thank all of you for coming today. I know some of you have been here for over an hour, so it's going to be a good day, right? I'm a little bit nervous because you all are very, very smart. So please, don't ask me the hard questions. You can ask me, how do you go to the bathroom in space? How do you eat? That I know about. So, I have a couple of videos that I will show you. I was a former school teacher, and so I know that it is important to hear your questions, so I hope this is more interactive. But my first question is, who likes to eat pizza? We love pizza. Thank goodness for the Italians that they gave us pizza. All right, so because we're at a university, we can't just have fun, all right? So as you watch this video, I want you to think about the science behind the video. You know that when we're in the space station, we're floating, and we can talk more about that. So think about, why do the toppings not go everywhere when we make the pizza? How are we heating up the pizza in space? So, because your professors are here, we have to pretend like we're doing work. All right. Let's see if we have any sound. All right, we don't have sound on this one, but that's all right. There we go. We gotta dance a little all right. Pizza in space. You saw the different types of pizza. We were up there. We had Americans up there. We had an Italian astronaut, and we had a couple of cosmonauts. And so the pizza with all the meat. Guess what country made that one? It was the cosmonauts. They like meat. And then you saw the one that looked a little bit weird with olives and other things. That was the Italian astronaut who made a very fancy pizza. So you can see that the toppings didn't all float away. We all know why they didn't float away. Because of the sauce. So we had surface tension, and I'll have another video later that I will show you how water behaves in space. Water with the surface tension is very, very sticky. And I'll show you that here in a few minutes. And then you saw that we were cutting our pizza with scissors, and then our oven was just a suitcase that uses conduction to heat up the pizza. So a little bit of science. All right. So I have had over 300 days in space. My first mission was 2 weeks long on the space shuttle. It's pretty awesome. And then I flew twice with the Russians, and my last mission was 6 months long. So I'm going to show you a video that lasts for 6 minutes. So we're all going to go to space, and we're going to go for 6 months in 6 minutes. So here we go. I flew on a Russian vehicle with one Russian cosmonaut and then another American astronaut. We take off in Kazakhstan. And so it takes us only 8.5 minutes to get from Earth to space, where we are in microgravity. So we are traveling at 17,500 miles an hour. Yeah, it's pretty fast. And then we dock with the International Space Station after a few hours. And then we open up the hatch into our new home, the space station, which is a pretty big laboratory. It's where we work, it's where we live. But why are we going to space? It's not just to have fun, but we are going up there to conduct science. That's the number one reason why we are going to the space station. Because of that unique environment, we can do experiments like with fire that we're not able to do on Earth. Yeah, floating is cool. You never get tired of that. Here he's trying to separate air from water. One of my experiments was growing lettuce plants. If we're going to go to the moon and off to Mars, we're going to have to be able to grow our own food. We're not going to be able to send it all up. So we were practicing with that. And then we worked with universities. I met with your robotics lab earlier. and they were working on projects like this where you program these spheres to go around the space station. We work with other universities to build these payloads that we take out the Japanese airlock, and then we shoot them back to Earth, and they collect data as they return back to Earth. So it's pretty cool. So science, education. We're also still learning a lot about the human body. Even though we've been going to space for over 50 years, there's still a lot to learn. So we take blood sample, urinalysis samples, we store them in this minus 80-degree freezer, and then when we come home, we can take that back to the scientists and then do their analysis. So we do have to work out a lot in space. We spend about 2 hours every day. This is a resistive exercise device. It feels like you are lifting weights in space. And we have to do this so that our muscle mass stays strong while we're floating around. So we spend an hour doing that. We spend the other hour doing cardiovascular, either on a treadmill. This treadmill is actually on the wall. It's not on the floor. But it doesn't matter if you're on the wall. So you can be on the floor, you can be on the wall, on the ceiling, it all feels the same. So how do we get all of our supplies? We have these cargo vehicles that will come up, and there are various private companies that are doing that for us, leaving from the east coast of the United States. And once they get to orbit, we have to capture it with the robotic arm. And then once we capture it, we then attach it to the space station. Then we can go in and we can take out all of our supplies. When they show up, they might bring us fresh fruit. Every now and then they'll give us ice cream. And so they're kind of nice, but you can see these big bags. It's super easy. If we were in space right now, I could take that bag and just float it out to all of you up there, and it'd be super easy. And if you're lucky enough, you get to go out and do a spacewalk. We don't do them just for fun. Anytime we go out is to do some type of repair on the International Space Station. I've been lucky enough to do 3 of these, and yes, it's a little bit scary. But we have this really big swimming pool in Houston, and that is where we train. And then once you go out the door in your spacesuit, you go back to your training. Here are some of my colleagues working on the robotic arm. And then I had the opportunity to get on the end of the arm while somebody was flying me around. And it's a pretty crazy feeling when you're not hanging on to anything and you're out there in the middle of space. And after about 6 or 7 hours, you come back in and then you're hungry and it's time to eat. So here's just maybe a minute or so showing you the beauty of Earth from space. It's pretty amazing. Our planet is pretty cool. And then after 6 months, you hand over the key to the space station to the other crew. Then you get back into your very uncomfortable Soyuz spacecraft. You undock from the space station, and within an hour or so, you are back on Earth, which is kind of weird. You go from floating in space to going through the atmosphere. That's what's happening there. If you didn't know that was supposed to happen, you'd be very, very frightened. But that is good. Then your parachute opens, and you land out in the middle of nowhere in Kazakhstan. The Russians have a great recovery team, and it doesn't matter the weather. You can see this was the middle of winter, and they are there to greet us. They treat us like kings. They put us in a chair. They carry us around. It's actually quite nice. So that was 6 months of space. see that I have a couple of different videos, but I'm going to pause here and see if we have the ability to answer any questions. We'll see how that works, because this is a very, very big group. And I see hands up, so if somebody here can help me, how are we going to get the questions?
Mike.
This might be challenging in this big auditorium, but we'll see how it goes.
Hello there. First of all, thank you for that presentation. Well, I have three small questions.
Where we at? All right. The lights are bright down here.
All right. So first of all, thank you for that wonderful presentation. And I have three small questions. Well, first of all, apart from being an astronaut, you are also a geologist, I think. You've studied geology. Well, first of all, NASA, along with other research, does a lot of research. I want to ask about a specific research which might be related to your field. It's about carbon capture. I wanted to know what's the kind of situation regarding carbon capture. I'm asking this because you see in many developing countries around the world right now, especially Bangladesh, many parts of Bangladesh and India, the pollution is getting ridiculous. And especially during the winter time, when the air gets dense, the pollution comes near the ground and it gets very difficult for humans. So we need to accelerate carbon capture technology faster. So I want to know the status regarding that. Secondly, regarding the international...
Let me only do one at a time because my brain isn't that big. I'll do more than one question.
All right. Thank you very much.
That question How was carbon captured in space? Why are you asking an astronaut that question? You do know that we have sent dogs to space. There are smarter things than astronauts. So I think your question is talking about carbon and how we might capture. I don't know about carbon footprint. I need one of you smart people to come down here and help us with that question. So I can't answer that question directly, but when we talk about, the carbon footprint and the impact that we are having on Earth, on our atmosphere, you do see that from space, and it makes you want to care for our planet even more. We were talking earlier about the Artemis Accords, and part of that is having countries come together to work on collaborative efforts for the safe and sustainable exploration of space. And so there are thoughts like that we need to make sure that our decision makers are thinking about when we start exploring and we go to different planets to make sure that we are not exploiting those. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. It's great to have you here. Currently, I'm working in BRAC Mongol 3 team. I have a question for you. I have heard that astronauts get taller when they go to space. So, do they get tall permanently, and is it because of gravity? Another question. I have also seen mirrors in astronomers' gloves. So, why do they have mirrors?
Okay, I think I can answer. Thank you so much. You get a prize. All right, those are questions I can handle. So for the next, students, bring it down a little bit. So the first question is, do astronauts get taller in space? So either it's a lie or I didn't go to space because I'm not tall. But it actually, because of that microgravity environment, your spine actually does stretch a little bit. And so it is true, and when you first get there, your back kind of hurts because you do have that elongation of your spine. And you know, astronauts, they will grow more, some more than others, but unfortunately, and so when you come back, being back in gravity, it then compresses again. So that's a true statement. We do get a little bit taller. And then the second question is the mirrors, because we want to look at our beautiful selves. Right? We're so beautiful. My hair looking. No, so you'll see, especially when we're wearing the spacesuit, it's very big, and your vision is limited. So if you're looking at designing things for future astronauts, keep in mind their vision and how much we can see. And so when I look down on the spacesuit, I can't see the switches and the valves that I have. And so we use that mirror so that we can then adjust our cooling, we can turn on batteries, and we can look at those. And so in Houston, where we train, we have spacesuits and all the letters are backwards. And so I ask students the opposite question: why are the letters backwards on the spacesuit? And so you can read it when you look at them with the mirror. Good question.
Hello, sir. Up here, at the top. Yeah, at the... Yeah.
All right.
Radio.
Sir, I'm Shubha, sir. Good evening. Sir, I have a question for you. Has spending
Take the
time
microphone closer to your mouth. We cannot hear you. Yeah.
Has spending time in space inspired you to think creatively, whether it's in science or problem solving or in your personal reflection? Thank you, sir.
Did you get that? My translator didn't understand.
Sir, has spending time in space inspired you to think creatively, whether it's in science, problem solving, or even personal reflection?
So did me being in space change me and my perspective? Is that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, some people will call that the overview effect. And hopefully, I know when we finish, you all want to get out of here, but if we have time, I'll play a video at the end as people are leaving, and it has some beautiful pictures of the Earth, and I would be curious to see how that might change some of you to see the planet, even just on a video. And it is amazing when you look at our planet. And, you know, I've always been kind of an environmentalist. My friend James that brought me here, we were volunteers looking at taking care of the environment. So we always knew that was important. But when you see the Earth from 200 miles away and you see that really, really thin atmosphere, that's what is protecting us from radiation that's out in space. And so then you realize you need to take care of it. When you see rivers that are brown because of deforestation and all of the soil going into the rivers, you understand we need to take care of our planet. And they talk about you don't see borders in space. It's true, we're all one planet, but you can definitely see the impact that humans are having on the planet. So it has changed. Maybe it's just heightened my awareness of how much we need to take care of our planet, how amazing it is. We were having dinner last night and we were talking about how everything had to been just perfect for us to be able to live on this planet, and you appreciate it when you are up in space. So thank you.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, if you fly in space, do the tears just stick to your face like an emotional bubble?
Who is asking? All right. One more
If you
time.
cry in space, do the tears just stick to your face like an emotional bubble? Should I go on first?
Yeah, okay, good. Again, I like these questions. So, what happens when you cry in space? Don't cry. You don't have to worry about it. But water is super interesting when you're up in space because you don't have the force of gravity reacting with it. So yes, if you were, and thank you for that lead in, I'm going to give you a prize because that's going to lead you straight to the next video. when you cry in space, because water is sticky, and I'm going to show you what I mean, it will just kind of stick around your eyeball, so you got to make sure you have a tissue if you're going to cry in space. So, with that, let me show you this video. And last week I was giving a talk with the flight director, and the flight director is the person who's in charge of mission control, and they're in charge of taking care of us. When she saw this video, it made her just a little bit upset, okay? Why would you not want to have water going everywhere on a space station? Why would water be bad if it's going everywhere? It will get into all of the electronics, and that's a bad day. If you want to practice, grab your friend's computer, pour water all over it, and that's why it would be bad. All right, here we go with water. I think this is it. So here are a couple of crazy astronauts and cosmonauts, and they made this water bubble. If I stop it right there, yeah, I know, that's a Russian. He's a funny-looking guy. Pretty cool. What do you notice in that picture? His image is inverted. When the bubble was smaller, it was not. And so you're dealing with the light refraction in the bubble. So it's pretty cool. This is, even though we have fun, we're still doing science, because science is fun. Now what they're going to do is they're going to take this GoPro camera and they're going to release it, and it's going to go inside the bubble so you can see what it would be like to be inside of a bubble. So here goes the camera. So that's what a teardrop would do. It would just stick onto your face. All right. Let's see. We'll go for a couple more questions. Well, you know what? Since you guys like to have fun, does everybody know what Halloween is in America?
Yeah.
Okay. Who likes Spider-Man? Spider-Man's cool. Very cool. Growing up, I loved Spider-Man. Okay? And so, let me show you what happens when Spider-Man goes to space.
Houston, Council, Munich, Sweden, Moscow. Welcome to Attention Please, Spookiest BBC.
All right, so
And good morning, ISS.
this was on Halloween Day, and again, we worked really hard. Here comes Spider-Man. And then you have to have a little bit of Wolverine action. He had spoons for claws. And then you have to have a little pumpkin to float around because that's our symbol. And floating in space is absolutely amazing. So we like to have fun. All right, next question.
Look, with the microphone here. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sir, so I had a question. So when astronauts spend months and months in space and after they come back, I have heard that they don't feel themselves or they can't feel their weight. So I wanted to know about your experience that after spending so many days in space, how do you feel when you come?
I think I lost part of that. All right, I think you're asking how do we feel when we come back from space? All right, so the human body is absolutely amazing. So when we first get to space, you're going from this normal gravity that we have here. And then after, like I said, after 8.5 minutes, you are now floating in space. And so it takes a little bit of time for your body to get used to that. So you all know how balance works. We have those hairs in the inner ear, and that's what provides the balance. When you get to space, they're now floating. And it doesn't feel great. So for me, that first day, I'm kind of feeling sick to my stomach, not really wanting to eat. And then the other part is that all of the fluid and the blood, water in your body, it also will tend to rise within your body. And you see astronauts when they first get to space, their head's a little bit puffy. And that's because the fluids are shifting in your body. And it takes a couple of days for your body to regulate that. So if you imagine standing on your hands for like 10 or 15 minutes, that's how it feels going on for like a day or two. And so when you come back to Earth, gravity is like strong. You all are very strong. You just don't know it because you're living it every day. But after being in space for 6 months, everything feels heavy. Your head feels heavy. To lift your arms feels heavy. If you had a book, it feels heavy. But it's amazing how quickly you adjust, and within a matter of a couple of hours, you're almost starting to feel kind of normal. But we feel good because we work out for those couple of hours every day. If you did not, your muscle mass would be terrible, your bone density would be terrible. And so it's that exercise that makes us strong when we come back. And then it's the opposite feeling for me when I come back. Now those hairs are laying down because they're in gravity. And my first 20 hours, when I come back from space, if I stand up, I feel like I want to throw up. If I lay down, you feel great. But again, the body's pretty amazing, and 20 hours later, you're feeling really good. So we got some cool bodies. They do some pretty amazing things.
I want to ask, how often do you guys do repairs, and why would you need to do the repairs in the first place in the space station?
Yeah, so how often do we do repairs? So the space station is like any house, any building, that sometimes things are going to break. And when things break, who's got to fix it? Astronauts got to fix it. I can't call a plumber when the toilet breaks. We got to fix the toilet. And so we spend a good part of our time up there doing maintenance on the space station. When we're not doing maintenance, we're doing science. But sometimes things that are outside will also fail. And so we might have a camera that fails, or a computer that's outside that we have to replace it. Or we do upgrades. We just took up some new solar panels that are smaller and more efficient. And so it's either doing repairs outside or doing upgrades to the space station. And that's why we go outside, because it's pretty dangerous to put on a spacesuit. And now you're living inside this small spaceship, And so we try to only do that when we have to.
So, I want to ask you a personal question. And
Personal, we're getting personal now.
so you were floating on space and seeing the entirety of Earth and human civilization. You see the Arabic desert, you see Mohenjo-daro, you see the South American civilization, the Chinese civilization. You see the entirety of human world in one view. How does it feel? And if you feel detached from the humanity as a whole, how do you cope with the detachment or loneliness or something? I don't know what you feel. So yeah, that's the question. How you feel about seeing everything in one image?
So, seeing the world all at one time, it's something, when you first see it, it's a little bit overwhelming, but it is like going someplace where you have a beautiful view that it almost doesn't look real. And so when you see the Earth for the first time, and we have this great window called the cupola, where you can see, you know, the entire Earth, it is extremely overwhelming. And I was watching a Hollywood movie the other day. It was a terrible movie, so I won't tell you the name of it. But, you know, they were talking about having an astronaut go look at the Earth for the first time, and so everybody went to go see their reaction. And that is it's true. When people see the Earth for the first time, it's overwhelming.
How do you deal with the loneliness or detachment?
How do I stay connected?
Don't you feel lonely?
No.
You don't feel why don't you feel lonely?
I don't like people. He understands what it's like. Okay? This is probably the most uncomfortable thing I'll ever do in my life right here, being around all of these people. So, for me, going to space is amazing because now, instead of billions of people, there's only like 7 or 8. But really, to answer your question, you know, we're not that far away. We're only a couple of 100 miles above Earth, and we have a lot of ways to communicate. They will send us movies, sports. We have video conferences with our families. I think I talk to my family more when I was in space than I do right now, because it was on my schedule. Okay, call home, and so I knew, okay, I better call home. So you actually feel a little bit more connected. And the other thing we have up there that some of you might like, especially those of you that don't like people, is we have the best telephone you can imagine. Okay? One, it can call anywhere in the world. Okay? It's kind of nice, right? The second best part is I don't have to pay for it. It's free. The third piece, the one that I love the most, is nobody can call me. One-way call. So I'm not getting anybody calling me, waking me up, asking me questions. So we have a great telephone in space.
Hello.
Before we go for the second question or next question, someone is holding your microphone and talking personal stuff and everything is being recorded. Be careful what you say, right?
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
I'm wearing a microphone, I gotta watch what I say.
Sir, I had a question. Sir, here, sir.
There you are.
So, sir, I'm a ham myself, amateur radio ham. So I know that ISS transmits from International Space Station. So how does it feel, like talking to people on Earth through amateur bands? Like how does it feel? Like do you get any unusual requests, or do they tell you to sing or something like that?
Like requests that people make of me? Well,
Yeah, sir, on the amateur radio bands, like hams. ISS usually transmits Like I saw videos on YouTube, like people transmitting from ISS, like welcome aboard ISS. So like, how does it feel to talk to people from
How does it feel talking to people while I'm in space?
Yes, from Earth, people from Earth through radio.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool talking to all of you right now and sharing that. So I think the more that we can share, the better it is. So it feels great. And I don't think I had any weird questions. We'll see before this is over what the weirdest question is.
Hello, sir. Sir, here, sir.
There we are.
I am learning from MSC, so we are great to having you there, sir. My question is that how our air particle of our ambient react when you are returning to the Earth?
Did you guys get that question?
Sir.
Oh, how is the air
Yes.
breathing it when you come back?
Sir, how the air react to the spacecraft when you are returning to the Earth?
It's so I think if I understand, how is the breathing as you're coming back?
No, sir, the air particle.
Atmosphere.
When
Oh,
you are
the
moving very
atmosphere.
fast.
Okay, I think I got you now. So when we're in the spaceship, we always have it pressurized. So like if you hop on a plane, right, you can feel it in your ears, right? And you have to equalize your ears. When you're in a spaceship, we always keep it at about 14.7 psi. And so we keep that throughout the entire launch. And so you don't have to equalize your ears. The pressure remains the same throughout the entire mission. However, when you are coming back on the Russian Soyuz, okay, it's pressurized, you're coming through the atmosphere, it's crazy, things are burning up all around you, you think you're gonna die, but the pressure is the same on the inside, the temperature is the same, but then once we're underneath the parachute, we then open up valves, and then at that point, you do have to equalize your ears as you're coming back. So you want to make sure, but throughout most of the mission, we don't have to worry about it. When we do a spacewalk, we're changing the pressure. And so at that point, whenever you have a change in pressure, you have to worry about your ears, and the breathing is not bad. But as long as you maintain that pressure, everything is good.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. I'm Ryan Inclusive from ILB. Sorry, my voice is a bit cracked because of the cold. I have two questions. First, what is your funniest experience during your space missions? And the second one is a technical question.
Wait.
Yeah, the first question is, what is your funniest experience during your space missions? And the second one is, how frequently do solar storms affect ISS?
What was the second one?
How frequently do solar storms affect ISS?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. So the funniest thing in space. I mean, I will tell you one story about when you catch me, we're not such a big audience and I'm not being recorded. I will tell you, but just imagine the worst thing you can think of floating around the space station. Okay? Yeah, I know. I see people, can't believe you just said that. I don't think we had anything that was too crazy. I think when you see people sleeping and they're like this and they're just floating, it's kind of weird, it's kind of creepy. It's like, what is going on here? So that was probably some of the weirdest things. I didn't see any UFOs or anything. And if I did, I couldn't tell you. And then the second part was, the solar storm. Thank you. So you saw on that video all of the different colors that we were seeing. You all know what that is, right? Right, the auroras were going off. And so we actually have to worry what we call space weather when we're up there. And we have people that are looking at ejections coming from the sun, how much radiation is out there, because we can only handle so much. We wear a dosimeter the whole time we're up there, so when we come home, we know how much radiation we have had. But when the solar activity is high, you get the most amazing views. And so those auroras, that is probably one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. I'll show you another video that shows more of them. The astronauts that just came back about a month ago, they were giving a talk and they were up there while we had a lot of these storms going on, and they just said it was incredible, that they were flying through it and they felt like they were in that storm. And so yeah, it's pretty amazing when you see that. And I keep looking over here, let me just see if there's any other videos that I have to show you before the last one. This one's terrible. So, I like that video because it looks cool. And so these are our crew quarters where we sleep. And you can see some are on the walls. One of them is on the floor. And one of them is up on the ceiling. But you can't tell. They all feel the same when you get in there. And that's one of the most amazing things about being in space is that there's really no up or down. The only way we know what direction is up is because of where the lights are located and the numbers that we use. But the great thing is, if I had to fix something that's down here, you don't have to worry about bending over. You flip your body upside down and you can go anywhere. So it takes a little bit of time, but I like that because it just shows you that orientation doesn't matter when you're in space. All right, next question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, welcome according to Bangladesh. I run an astronomy learning platform in Bangladesh called Astronomy Pathshala, where we currently teach over 1.5 million students from our platform, and our student base ranges from class 3 to working professionals. My question is there any possibilities for our students to receive direct guidance from you?
So, you're out of school, you do astronomy, right? Okay, all right, thanks. I think I get it. So, it depends on what you mean by, work directly. So NASA, if you go to the NASA website, you can get a lot of information, but there are a lot of platforms there. So one where NASA can give you information, but there are a lot of programs where you can interact. When you saw some of the science experiments that we were doing, some of those were with students. If you're doing more of astronomy, that's not my expertise, but the telescopes that we have, and NASA will work with scientists and universities to then use that resource so that we can collaborate with you. So there are a lot of different ways, and I would just recommend that you go to that NASA website, and from there it will tie you in to different individuals that you can work with.
Thank you so much for sharing your incredible experiences with us. I would like to ask you that how do you see private companies like SpaceX and others that are shaping the future of space explorations compared to NASA's traditional role? Thank you.
All right, great question. Talking about private companies like SpaceX. We think it is great. We think that you have to have commercial entities, commercial companies working in the space field, and NASA feels so strongly about it that we have given these companies billions and billions of dollars to help them get started. SpaceX has done some amazing things. The money that they received to start that, a majority of that came from NASA to help them develop, because we want to advance the commercialization of space. And what that does for us, one, it gets private companies, it'll get private citizens access to space, but it also frees up NASA so we can do different things. We want to go to the moon. We want to go to Mars. We want to go farther than we've ever gone before. And so the only way we can do that is working with private companies and working with many different countries. There's a saying, I don't know where it comes from, that you might know, so maybe somebody can tell me. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And so the only way humanity is going to go places we've never been, to explore that things that we can't even imagine, is if we work together. And so whether it's with governments and private companies, or it's government to government, you have to do it together if you want to be successful. So we like working with our commercial partners.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Didi from this side. Thank you for your presence and patience. So my first question is it possible for humanity to live in other space, or what obstacles they might face in that place?
So humanity to leave
In other space or planet.
Bro is literally confused.
it's going to be hard. Like we were talking about earlier, we're very lucky that we are on this planet, that we can live. Space is not friendly. Space wants to kill you every chance it gets. And that's why it's hard to get to space, it's hard to live in space, but we are going to go back to the moon, we are going to live on other planets, but it's going to be hard, and we're going to need technologies and ways to deal with the harshness of space and the other planets that we weren't made for. But I know we're going to do it, we're going to explore, we're going to learn a lot, and the more that we explore, the more that we learn, and kind of the easier that it gets. So
Earlier you mentioned that you don't like people, that's why you don't face that much problem for being alone in other planets. So I am hoping that you like food. So do have something like midnight cravings in the existing planets for astronauts.
I hear people laughing, and I'm not sure I want to know it all.
What food it could be that you crave for?
Yeah, so I was usually in bed by midnight, so I didn't have no, I'm just kidding. So the food in space is pretty good, but it's pretty limited. And you kind of eat the same thing every couple of weeks. And so it is nice when we get fresh fruit. That's like one of the most amazing things you can get. And let me see, ice cream in space is wonderful. But I think we all have cravings of the food that we grew up with. And so for me, the craving is having my mom's cooking and waiting to come back, because nothing is better than mom's cooking. And so when you're in space and you're watching TV shows and you see all that delicious food, you can't wait to get back. But once you get home and you're at your dinner table and mama's taking care of you, life is good.
Hello, sir.
All right, it's
Hello, sir. So, I'm Rudro. I'm currently studying in 5th semester. Over here, sir.
Oh, there you go.
Sir, over here.
Well, hold on, before you ask your question.
Yes, sir.
Just want everybody to know, this is the last question. So, I know, it's a bummer. You just have to bring it back again so we can talk more. So, because it's the last question,
I'm so sorry, sir.
you have a lot of pressure on this question. I hope it's great.
My question is fairly simple one, that I've heard that you were a geologist before that, and I want to know about your journey to NASA.
how you included in NASA? How
It's a great conclusion.
So how did I become an astronaut? Great last question. So I was a geologist. I've done a few different things in my life, but I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Let's see. Oops.
Mistakes.
Give me a minute. You guys aren't in a hurry, are you? All right. Got all day long? Sweet. Let's see. Let me just find a presentation. Let's see if this one works. Hold on. Let's see. Give me a second. Okay. All right. I know PowerPoint is like a nightmare. That's why I try not to use PowerPoint. Because you probably get too much of that. All right. So, that's me on my first space flight. My parents are from Puerto Rico, and then they moved to the United States, and so I was born in California. So, like all of you should be proud of where you come from. I'm very proud of my heritage, so I always take the Puerto Rican flag with me. So, I know I was so cute back then. I don't know what happened. I was such a fat little baby. So I was born in Southern California. Obviously, my mother fed me really well. You know, you all have cricket. We like to play baseball, so I enjoyed baseball. Those are my grandparents that motivated me to go to school when I graduated from college. I joined the Marine Corps, so I know that I can't believe I looked that good and so young after those years. And then the last picture, okay, as we all know, I was a school teacher. I don't know about Bangladesh, but in America, we don't pay teachers really good salary. So I couldn't afford a haircut, so I just let my hair grow.
True.
And so, you know, how did I become an astronaut? We talked a little bit about the Apollo missions going on, and my grandfather that you see there did not have a college education, never went to school, but he was always very, very interested in science. I think he wanted me to stand here for a second, so hopefully I'm in the right spot. Somebody told me to do that. So he inspired me to go to space, but I made a lot of bad choices in my life. At least at the time, people told me they were very, very bad choices. I love metal shop. And in the United States, we have in high school certain elective classes that you can take. And people always tell you, don't just do one thing, try a bunch of different things, be well-rounded. And I'm like, no, I really like metal shop. So every year, I took metal shop. And people didn't like it. I didn't want to go to college. When I got done with school, I just wanted to go and make money, right? Because money's great. Yeah, money's great. But you know what's better than money? An education. More money. Because the education's going to get you more money. And so I didn't want to go to college. And my dad made a deal and said, you go for 1 year, and then if you don't like it, you can do whatever you want. So I was lucky to have my parents pushing me, showing me the value of an education. I joined the military. No mother likes to see their child join the military, so that was very disappointing. I was a Peace Corps volunteer. And I did that after I was working as a geologist. Do you know what it means when you're a volunteer? You're volunteers. What happens when you're a volunteer? You don't get paid. You don't get paid. My dad is why did I leave Puerto Rico? Why did I pay for an education? You finally have a job and you're gonna quit to work for no money. Terrible decision in my life. I moved after that. I went to the Bahamas and I lived on this really, really small island, and I was managing that island. And again, people are like, what are you doing? Part of it is I don't like people. So that island was great. It was a great experience, but people thought that was terrible. And then I made the worst decision anybody could ever make, and that's become a school teacher. Because people don't respect the profession many times. Again, the salary is not great, so people are like, what are you doing with your life? Before I go to the next slide, though, I do want to take this opportunity for all of us to give a round of applause to all of the teachers that are here. I would not be an astronaut if it were not for my teachers, and they are developing you into what you are becoming. So teachers, you are the best. But these were a lot of bad decisions that people in my family and my friends were going, why are you making all of these terrible choices? So, how did I become this handsome looking astronaut? I know. Wait until you get to my age. So, how did I become an astronaut? People go, hey, why do you think they selected you to be an astronaut? When I did my interview, it was a 1-hour interview, and we probably spent 30 minutes of that talking about what I did in my metal shop in high school. Because if you're going to go to space, if you're going to go to the space station, we talked about it, you have to be able to fix things. So you can be the smartest person out there, but if you don't know what a wrench is, what a screwdriver is, you're not going to do too well in space. So that really helped me out. We talked about my military experience. It shows that I know how to work as part of a team. With the Peace Corps, when I was a volunteer, not getting paid, it was working in another country. It was international cooperation. Where was I living? The International Space Station. So it showed that I knew how to work with other countries. Working in the Bahamas was very, very similar to living in space. All your supplies have to come in. You're living with a very small group of people. So it really set me up for being successful in space. And then being a school teacher, okay? Teachers all know this. We all plan, right? We have our lesson plans. Everything is great. We're going to talk about this. And then what happens? You, all of you, come into the classroom and you mess it all up. Because you ask a question the professor wasn't thinking about. You break something over here in the robotic lab. I don't know, students do crazy things, okay? And as a teacher, you have to know how you go from a perfect plan to chaos and how you adapt. And that's what we have to do as astronauts as well. We can't plan for everything, and so you have to know how to adapt. So, the point of the story is not to make mistakes, okay? We're all going to make mistakes, and you're going to learn from those mistakes. But all of those choices that I made, I don't know that I knew it at the time, but every single one of those, they were a challenge for me. I was learning new things. So whatever you choose to do, just make sure you are growing. Make sure you are pushing your brain and your body places that might be a little bit uncomfortable, because that is how you grow and that is how you learn. So that's kind of how I became an astronaut. And I think, the advice I have for all of you is, continue with your education. You have an amazing facility right here. You have an amazing opportunity, so please take advantage of it. I've heard about some of the programs. It is super impressive. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. If they say they don't, they're lying to you. And so it's okay to make mistakes if you learn from them. So your future is very, very bright. It has been people are saying that I'm inspiring you, but you all have inspired me today with your questions, your enthusiasm. My life will never be the same because of this experience today. So I thank you for all of that. And I don't know if we have any final words, but before I get off the stage, I'm just going to hit play on a video so you guys can see space one more time before I leave. Time? All right. Luckily, we're not in space, so if you cry, the tears will flow down. If you cry, nobody will judge you. Okay? Do we want to watch this 4-minute video and do that? Okay? Here we go. And then, if you don't mind turning down the lights a little bit, you know you have a great sound system.
Scenes when I was leaving, and the vision that was left
planet Earth.
Now we will have a group photo. So try to, as enthusiastic as much as possible for you. So Ms. Acaba, he will be standing here. He will be on the backdrop. So this is the moment we're going to capture. All right? Need all of your cooperation. Cheer as much as you possible, as you can.
অনেকক্ষণ করছস হাত এখন জ্যাম হয়ে যাওয়ার কথা
হাত শুধু সবই যাবে
শেষ
পারফেক্ট কি দিবে হ্যাঁ রাইট সাইড কর্নার বললো থাকে বাড়ি তো খাবোই বেরোবো বেরোবো